welcome to the Well-Educated Artist. Now to do today's project, you are going to need a jewelry box. And here you can see some of the jewelry boxes that you can get from your hobby stores. There's so many, they're fairly cheap, and if they're running a 40% off sale, then you can just get a lot of these for a couple of dollars. I think all of these are under $6 a piece. So most of them are cheaper than that, just $1.50 or $2 or so. So different kinds of jewelry boxes. So you'll need one of those, or if you are industrious and can make your own, then go for that. So once you have your jewelry boxes, you're also going to need acrylic skins. If you do not know how to make acrylic skins, which are basically acrylic paint and pour medium that has dried from either an acrylic pour or you have created one for a specific purpose. In this case, I have created one for a specific purpose. Let me show you how easy it is to make an acrylic skin. This particular skin that I am making right now, this is a skin that is known as a bloom skin. So this is using your bloom medium. Now if you want to know how to make bloom skins, I do have a video on that. Also how to make regular skins using your acrylic pour paint. And I also have one how to do more blinged out skins to make for jewelry. So if you're selling your jewelry, or maybe you want it for this application. So I have several videos that you can check out on how to make different kinds of skins, which require different kinds of paints and additives. So once I have my skin, and here is my skin, you can see it is a jewel toned skin on the black background. So once you have this one, then you'll be able to get started with your project. It usually takes about 24 hours for these skins to dry, and then you're ready to go. Okay, so this is the box I'm going to be using today. And what I'm going to do before I get started, because I'm going to be applying my skins only to the top of the box, is I'm going to finish the rest of my box. And you can easily remove all of the hardware, and you can remove the hinges if you want to, or you can just tape and go around them. So whichever is easiest for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is prepare my box. And to prepare this box, I'm just going to be very simple. I'm going to use Minwax Poly Shades in Bombay Mahogany. This one I've had for a very long time, but I know they still make these. These are polyurethane and stain in one, so they just make things a little bit easier and it works a little bit faster. I'm just going to use a foam brush for this, and I'm going to use my Minwax Poly Shades. Make sure you're working in a well-ventilated area, and you can just go ahead and add your color. Now, that being said, you may also want to do a wood conditioner. This is fairly cheap wood. It is going to be incredibly porous, so depending on what kind of coat that you want, I am not going to do that, but I am going to run through and stain my box. I may have to do a couple of coats on this one. When I'm done staining my box and it is dried, I am just going to go ahead and make a template for my skin. And as you can see here, I am just using a pencil to go around the box. Now, why am I not tracing it by turning it over and tracing the lid? Well, as you can see, I actually have a lip on my lid, meaning I've got the center part that's raised and then I have an edge around it. And so if I do this by turning it over, my skin is going to be too large. I just want the center part of my lid. So as a little hack here, I am just taking my pencil and going around the edges so that I will have a marker to where that edge actually is. And that makes me have a more accurate template for my skin. Once I'm done, I have a rubbing that I can easily use to cut out my skin. So I'm just going to take some scissors and I'm going to cut around the edges of the rubbing, and then I'm going to flip my skin on the back and figure out exactly where I'm going to put my skin. I kind of looked at the front first just to make sure I knew where I wanted it, and then I can just put my template around and trace around it. I'm just tracing around it with a white acrylic paint marker. That way you're able to see it, but really you can just use a pen or pencil as long as you can see your lines. And once I'm done going all the way around that, I can cut my skin out. So just go ahead and cut the block out. It's just a rectangle, and it should fit perfectly on top of my jewelry box. Okay, now that I've got my skin for the top of the box, I'm going to dry fit it on top and just make sure it'll work. It is a little tiny bit bigger, and I did this on purpose because I've got a raised part in the center, I am going to need to get over that little bit of lip so that the corners are down and everything is down. It's actually going to look like inlay when you do this, and you have a little bit of stretch with these skins, so you can pull them just a little bit. So if you're a little bit shorter than you want to be, if you give them a little bit of a pull, then you can get it over the edge. Also, when you put your glue down, which I'm going to do here in just a minute, it will also cause there to be some flexibility. So you can see I've gone all the way around the edge, and you can see right here, you can see how it's pushed down around the edge. So this is going to look a little bit like inlay there. So once this is affixed down, it's going to look very clean and very sharp and very finished. Okay, to glue this down, I'm going to be using adhesive. I'm going to use Diamond Glaze, which if you've watched my channel, you know I love to use it. And this is the refill, so there's a big one and a small one. I'll put a link down below. It works pretty well with skins. It doesn't usually cause a problem with skins or raises skin. So I'm just going to pour some out, and I am going to apply some underneath the skin. Now you can also use E6000. It's absolutely fine. There are lots of adhesives that you can use. It's kind of just personal preference. I don't want this to be lumpy at all, so I'm going to use Diamond Glaze. Diamond Glaze can also be used as sort of a varnish to go on the top of it, but I'm going to remove it, and I'm just going to make a thin layer, a very thin layer over this. I don't want this to bulge underneath. And you can see that my top of my box is not very nice. If you wanted to use this, you definitely would have had to sand it, but I don't care because I'm going to be putting a skin over the top of it. So it won't really matter. So I'm just going to make sure that I get to all of my corners. Now, if you get a little Diamond Glaze over the corners, it does dry clear. So you don't have to worry too much about it. That's the good thing about Diamond Glaze compared to some of the other adhesives. There's really not a problem with it. So once I've gotten my glue down, then I am going to adhere my skin, and I'm just going to push down on my skin and make sure that my skin has no bubbles underneath it. There's nothing on top of it. And like I said, if you need to pull it a little bit, the adhesive usually makes it a little bit stretchier. So you can go ahead and do that. Now I've got to do the same thing that I did earlier, even though I kind of have a little bit of a bend there. I'm going to make sure that all of that around the edges lays down and goes down over that little lip that is all the way around where the top is raised. And so to do that, I can also use a popsicle stick, especially if you don't have fingernails, then you can use a popsicle stick to get that to lay down so that you can be ready for the next step. Okay, it's been about 24 hours and my box lid has dried. So I am going to go ahead and use my UV resin. This is the clear hard type resin. This one is Nick Pro. I can leave a link below if you're interested in using this. It will require a UV light. So I have a UV flashlight right here. Okay, so all I'm going to do is spread it over the top to protect my skin. Over time, skins can become brittle. This type of skin, being that it is a skin made out of house paint, generally stays very rubbery. So it's not as bad as those skins that are made from Floetrol. So if you're using a Floetrol skin for this application, make sure you do put varnish or something like UV resin over the top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and put my UV resin over the top. It's not going to take very much. And just gently spread that on the top. Now you could add anything that you want to the top. I really love this skin, so I'm keeping it very simple. This one almost has like a dark mother of pearl look, so I am not going to be adding anything to it. The sky is really the limit to embellish your jewelry boxes. So once you have an even distribution of your UV resin, you're ready to use your UV light in whatever form you have. This is a flashlight, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to apply my UV light. Now this is a fairly dark color, so I will sit this by a windowsill just to make sure that it's completely cured. And this only takes a few minutes for the resin to heat up and cure, and my skin will be protected. Once the resin has cured, I like to finish the inside of the box. What I'll do is just make a template. This is actually the same template that I used for the top. I just put it into the bottom. And you can see just made a template for the bottom of my box. And what I do is take a piece of velvet. In this case, this is blue velvet. It has a backing on the back that is sticky. And I just trace it out onto the back of it and then cut out a matching piece of velvet. And what's so great about this is all you do is unstick this just like this. Then you just stick it into the box. Just like that. And then you have a finished box ready to give or keep or sell. It's just that easy. I hope you enjoyed your time with me as we learned to make an acrylic skin jewelry box. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, and please leave a comment. Let me know what you think and if you've tried making these jewelry boxes before. Until next time, guys, bye now.